dates and stuff. When we're making our kind of comparison as the as is process compared to be process, is quick quote the way that salespeople would start doing their pricing going forward? You know?
When you say going forward, when Jeff, can you be more specific? After
Sure.
QA or after?
So I would say before they decide whether they're going to select the tool such as CPQ or bring up Aptus again or whatever, but with what you guys are modeling in Siebel for that next release, would salespeople be using that to generate their quotes and pricing analysis, or would someone else be going into Quick Quote and putting those products in there and all those macros and everything so that the salespeople would be able to go in and quickly put quotes together?
Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but the process is not changing for these products, Jim. So they will be using their current quick quote tool to these new products as well, because in Siebel we're not doing the pricing configuration for these new products either.
Okay, great. And that's that same charter team that's going in then and developing that in Quick Quote?
Honestly, I don't know. We don't know the answer, but I assume it will be the same team. But we never interacted with the team actually that develops the quick quote tool, so we don't have much of an idea there. But if I have to make an educated guess, I would say it's the same team.
Oh.
And Vijay, I will say I did work some with them when we were gathering R2A requirements initially, and it's actually product marketing who owns the Quick Quote tool at that point in time. So I would assume that they still own that and that they continue to maintain that.
Gotcha. Very good. And just kind of full disclosure, I'm just recording this because there's a couple people on our end that were not able to make the call. So if we do go in and start looking at product definitions and conversations and stuff, I am just recording this so I could post it on our internal site so folks will get caught up into what we discussed.
No problem.
So then the next thing I had were key dates and milestones that you guys are driving towards.
Yep. Again, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, but right now for these products, we have completed the functional design and the technical design. Development has not yet started, Jim. So the status stays the same that I gave you last week, which is we're not sure about the exact date yet. But if you want me to, guess, it will probably be 3 to 4 months from now. They will target to launch this. So from the development perspective, it is not officially yet started because they're still waiting for a few approvals from the internal side of the product team. So where we are is essentially completed the functional requirements, completed the technical design, completed the product modeling from not actually in Siebel, but the product design that is completed on the paper, but not actual work. Is that accurate, Kim?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So when you say the functional and technical design, what is that? What is it that you mean by that?
So the functional and technical design is essentially any of the changes that you have to make in OSM, AIA, and BRM to fulfill these items, right? To fulfill these products. That is what I mean by functional technical design documents.
Okay, so there's nothing really from a order entry Siebel perspective in terms of how you're going to model these, what the what's the word I'm looking for?
We have those as well. We have the product design documents for Siebel as well. Kim, you have access to those, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, we can send those to you, Jim. We have access to the Siebel product configuration documents. So what I'm saying is it's not actually done in the system, but the design is completed and the design is documented. And I think Prater said we can share those things with you guys.
Okay, and we had seen I guess like the spreadsheet did include things like the product classes and attribution and stuff. So is that kind of what you're referring to, or you've kind of gone a level deeper?
Tim?
So, yeah, it goes a little bit deeper. That's definitely part of the both the functional and it gets further detail out in the technical design. But there's a Word document that goes into further detail on the Siebel changes needed for the new products.
All right. Is that something we could kind of walk through on this call, or we're not quite ready for that?
I mean, I can definitely pull it up and we can take a look at it, but I plan to walk through that spreadsheet and going through the different tabs on that, as well as the mock-ups that we've got.
All right. Yep, that would be great. And that was Alex, right?
This is Kim.
Kim.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that everybody on the call has probably seen this. This is that modeling document that we've discussed before. So if you look here, we have the Managed WAN service. So this is the root product here highlighted in green. It's green because it's listed as a circuit. That's actually a customization that Charter has made based on some of the previous business requirements and previous releases, this concept of a circuit itself. I wouldn't worry too much about it right now, as it's typically related to how modifications are done after the initial asset is installed. From a component product perspective, there are these, if I click on the link, but these 6 component products, 2 of which are billable, and then the others here are mainly for provisioning purposes. And then if you go over to some of these other tabs, so product definition, you can see some of the more granular level of details that you would need when you're building these products out in Siebel. So if we look at all the Managed WAN service, these are all the component products. As you said, we do have the product classes already defined in here. The service instance flag would be yes for the install fee here, as well as for these 2 subscription products, what the billing details are. Cardinality has been defined. Whether or not it should be tracked as an asset is defined. So all of the product-specific information is here in this sheet. And then once we get into the attributes, you see that we have each of the classes listed with the attributes. So if we look up transport layer class here, you'd be able to see these are the attributes that would be configured with that class. So this is probably the main component of both functional. We start out a little bit more high level and then get additional details as we go through technical design, but this is pretty fleshed out. So any questions on the product model?
So Kim, when you said you have the classes defined, those are already operational in Siebel, or those are ones that you still need to define?
These are new, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Managed WAN service class, yeah, these are going to be new.
And I can't remember, were the attribute domains included in here? I didn't see them in the version I have.
I was about to say, it looks like some columns are hidden. Those may just be in the TDD, and we can send you all that. It's just a Word document with a little bit more detail from a development perspective.
Sure.
Okay. The other thing that is done during functional design for these is the UI mock-ups. So if we come here on CapManagedWANService, this is what they're looking for from a UI perspective. So we have the full layout of the UI defined here within the product configurator. So this would include order of the fields that need to be displayed. The templates have been customized within the PCAT. We have columns displayed, so all the attributes, I think it's 5 columns total. So you see we only have 3 attributes here, so we have these, the business has requested these to be displayed in this specific order. If we had all of the LOVs configured, they would be here. All of these, package type is a list of values, but then service account and service account address are actually pick lists.
Yep. Yep.
And would they be flowing over, like, as part of what's going on? Is there a way for that to get into Siebel from Salesforce?
No, everything is manually done in Siebel.
Gotcha. So before they would go in, I guess sales ops or sales engineers would come in, look in what's in Salesforce, and then enter those things, those accounts, billing, service accounts, locations, whatever, into Siebel.
Yep. Okay. Other pieces of the UI, I'm looking through. This UI is, pretty basic. We have the different connection products that you can have, and then the connection IDs, and then you have the option to add this non-charter internet details product in the event that your connectivity is actually not through charter; it's through a different provider. So you can add that here. And then at the very bottom is where you have your service fee and your install fee that you can add. And pricing, I know we've talked about this at length, but pricing for these would be done. You would select that you want a service fee, and then once you get back to the order line items is where you would put in your price override for how much that should be.
And that would come from Quick Quote after approvals and stuff, or there's another?
So they're manually inputting the override price, but my understanding is that it's derived based off of the Quick Quote tool that they created the contract with when they were in Salesforce, and then once the contract is created and everything is ready to go is when it's all entered into Siebel.
And how would you see, so in terms of how you set things up so far, if I've got a 8-site quote that I'm putting together, what would that wind up looking like? And maybe you don't have that figured out yet, but what would that look like from entering all that stuff into Siebel perspective?
So I'm assuming they would all roll up under the same customer hierarchy, but what would happen is you would come into Siebel once that contract was signed. All your customer account would be created if it's a new customer, and your billing account if that's new, and then you would create all 8 service locations if they're all new. And then once you have all of your account structure created, you would go into the customer account and create your opportunity and create your quote. One of the service accounts is going to default as the parent on the order header or the quote header, but then once you add all of your products, you can always go on the line items, just like you can in normal Siebel, and change the service account. And then you can also do that here. That's one of the reasons they've requested the ability to have this pick list of service account, is it gives them the ability to make that configuration while they're here in the PCAT, and then they can also, if they've already selected it when they're on the line items, they can identify it based on the address, because if you have 8 of the same product on an order, If you're doing, a single site product, a lot of times it's very confusing to remember which one you're in. So this is one of the ways that they use to keep everything straight.
Okay.
Oh, and Lars, you're probably keeping up with this better than me, but so does that mean if I'm doing 8 sites, I would kind of be jumping kind of back to this view to enter each of the service accounts? And I might not have said that right.
Yeah, so Kim, maybe another way to ask that, like the managed WAN service product on your quote, if you had 2 sites, would you have 2 top-level managed WAN service line items on the quote, like one for each site?
You would. So managed WAN service is a single site product, which is why you only see one service account here. It's at the top level.
Right.
So if you had 2 sites, you would just have 2 managed WAN service root level products.
Okay. And then what sort of validation is done in Siebel from site to site?
I'm not sure I follow the question. Do you mean specific to this product or in general?
Specific to this product, like if there's a connection to another site, is there any validation that needs to be done between those 2 instances of managed WAN service?
I'm trying to think. I don't believe that there are any validations that have been requested between sites here. I could go, when we send you the TDD, I'll take a look and see if I can find anything. But no, off the top of my head, I don't know of anything that they would do validation-wise site to site.
Okay. So basically, when you're setting up the 8 sites, you'd have 8 managed WAN service products, the CPs on the order, or the quote, and then you go into each one, configure it, the details. Obviously, you could, if there were 8 similar, you could copy them and change the service account, some of those kind of things. But you'd have to go into each one into the configurator and set the details, right?
Yeah, and also because these connections, I'm trying to see if it's actually on the list anywhere, but the connection service ID, so all that you can choose here for your fiber internet connection or your OL3 or your OE are connections that exist on your service account. So when that pick list comes up, it's only going to show you it's only going to show you fiber internet, for example, that are on that same service account because it's supposed to be the connectivity at that particular location. So even you may create, one instance of managed WAN service and then copy it, but you would actually have to go in and change all of your IDs because if there are 8 different sites, you're not going to have the same fiber internet on each of those sites.
Yep. So when you change the service account, you have to go in there no matter what.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. And if you change the service account at the line item level, is there a validation that makes sure that this connection service ID is valid for that?
That is a good question. Let me just pull up the TDD and we can take a look at this.
Okay.
I'll have Lauren pull it up. And I'm walking out the door, so I'm going to...
I'm sorry, this has, when I send this to you, it has all of the managed services stuff in it, so it's not just managed WAN router, just a heads up.
Okay. And maybe we're getting in the weeds a little, but I'm just curious. Must be something.
No, it's a fair question, and I'm looking, I'm trying to see also, this may just be the product TDD. Yeah, a better place to look is probably the FRD that we already sent.
Yeah, that would be could be more at the quarter, the order level, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Okay. account and your service address pick lists those are like business component based attributes reading off this Siebel data. I'm jumping around.
Sorry, just trying to track this down.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
All right. All of these are previous releases. Release 2A. Yeah, so validate that the service account on the line items is equal to the service account on the connection service ID. So they are, there is a validation on, looks like it's on auto order and on submit to make sure that those match.
Yeah. It's blue mean it's to be done or something? Or?
Yeah, the way that these are written is they're kind of living documents, so they include all changes from, release 1.x onward, and so you just have to look for the changes that were made, or this is release 2.3.
Okay.
Okay.
How different would the managed security be from managed WAN?
I don't think it's going to be that different from a CRM perspective. Because it's the same thing. You have the fiber internet connection, the non-charter internet details, and then your billable products. It's provisioned a little bit differently, but that would be downstream.
Yep. We were kind of thinking about managed security, so that was the main reason I asked.
The only thing with managed security is, and I think VJ brought this up on the call before, the product is already built. It was actually included as part of Release 2A, but the reason that it's here, it's first of all, also a managed product, so they're all kind of tightly coupled. But then there is a change being requested to manage security with this MS fiber internet connection in Release 2.3, which is mainly why it's here in this spreadsheet and in the requirements. In Release 2A, they had the relationship go from fiber internet to managed security, but now the request is to reverse the relationship, and on your managed security, select your fiber internet. But other than this one piece, the rest of the product structure is already built and in use in production.
Okay. And from a business interest perspective, do you think there would be more interest in the WAN service from a overall demo perspective? Any feel there?
Yeah, I would probably think so, just because that's one they haven't seen before. BJ, I don't know if you've heard any kind of direction from Mark or anybody on the IT side about an existing product versus a new product.
Well, this is Jim. I'll speak for VJ if that's okay, but I think Mark was looking for a new one, but I'm also thinking this might be a good example of what it would look like from a modified process for a product and what that would look like. So, and maybe we don't go through and demo this, folks, but maybe we talk to the change that was made here and what that would look like, right? If we were using CPQ as opposed to just Siebel. So we might ask a little bit more detail about this and what it meant from a Siebel and stuff perspective, but maybe that would be something we talk through. So I don't know if silence means agreement or just confusion, but
just thinking.
Okay.
It seems workable. I don't know if anybody else had any thoughts on that, but yeah.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that this is something we would need to go through and model and, go through a change order and all that stuff around. I'm just saying this might be a good example then of, we had in the current version, current release, here's what something looked like. Here's what we would need to do then to make those modifications and release them in the, CPQ 2B environment. So we can think a bit more about that. But.
Okay.
And is there, give me 1 second, I'll just take notes here. Where is the actual contract documented or document generated, signed? Is that, I guess that's more on like the QuickBooks Salesforce side?
Yeah, so the contracts are generated in Salesforce today. And then after that is the contract process is done is when it comes to Siebel.
Okay. If I remember right, it was just like a Microsoft Word, like a pretty simple facility they currently have to generate that.
Yeah, I believe so. Alex, isn't it just it is just a Word document, almost like a mail merge kind of thing, right?
That's what I was trying to think of. Yeah, I think it's kind of a mail merge thing, and so would you? And again, you might not have a good perspective on this, but is that something that we can do a lot more in CPQ for contract generation and signing and all that stuff? You think that would be something we should discuss with them, or we should just leave it where it is and just focus on the quoting and pricing? And again, we can ask Mark about that. I don't know if you've got any thoughts.
I personally don't know enough about the contracting process, but Alex, that's kind of more in your area, I guess, or VJ. I don't know if you've heard anything.
Yeah, so I think that might be something worth taking a look at. I know that they wanted something to make it a little bit easier for the customer to electronically sign a contract and functionality around that. So it might be worth taking a look at.
So by the time this gets to Siebel, all the pricing, everything's set. There's no like commercial bundle being set up here, or no product promotion to affect any pricing or anything at this level.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so CPQ would really just be replacing more of the quick quote capabilities than we're trying to replace any of the commercial bundling and product promotion type functionality. So that's actually a pretty good thing in this case.
I guess just the one thing, Lars, maybe on the using CPQ as opposed to the configurator UI, if we're going back and forth between multiple sites, maybe even the technical order definition could be done in CPQ with a little bit more flexibility than Siebel. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely a possibility to model it so that you don't have to go back and forth while you're setting up all those details. And then leverage, we have the connectivity to Salesforce, so you could leverage the account data that's there. You could also leverage account data in Siebel if needed. Any deal there? Would there be an interest in taking the account data from Salesforce, or do they want to have that kind of rigid process for setting up service accounts and all that they're currently doing? Jim or BJ, if you guys have any insight there, or Alex.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. I had to step out for a second. Do you mind?
Oh, okay. So I was just curious. Today, they have to set up all the service accounts and the account details to be able to enter the quote into Siebel. And, we always think that it's great to be able to just pull the data out of Salesforce and then send it with the order to Siebel, which we can do, and we can validate it. I'm curious if you have any feel for whether there would be an interest in them being able to leverage that Salesforce data, or do they really need this rigid process that they do where they want somebody to set up all this stuff in Siebel first before they start creating the order? Service accounts, no.
I think if we can do it in an automated way, I don't think they will have any issue with it. In fact, I think they'll prefer that.
Okay. Yep. Just, I've had a few customers where there's reasons they want certain people doing that and not everybody doing it. So that's what I was curious about.
What are the reasons generally, Jim? Why would they want certain people to do it?
Oh, just make sure that the data validation, address validation, all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Even though you can automate a lot of those rules, I've dealt with some customers who had a process that they just wanted, like their financial team responsible for setting up those accounts.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I think if the validation already occurs in Siebel, and then if we can send them in an automated interface, I think they actually would prefer that rather than doing the Siebel share.
Okay. Yeah, certainly make the process a lot easier, right?
But I guess if I could take it maybe to the next level, right? We did get a demo from them quite some time ago about how they use Salesforce and how they set up those projects with all the with all the accounts and opportunities and all that stuff. From a CRM perspective, and again, you guys would like your perspective on it, but you might not have had requirements discussions around it. I mean, I think it might even be cleaner if you didn't even have to put all that stuff in Salesforce, but rather, either through CPQ or Siebel, something like that. Or do they want to have that two-tier project opportunity structures and data in Salesforce?
So, Jim, I'm trying to follow this. If they don't have it there, where would they put it?
So I'm thinking instead of in Salesforce that we either do a UI or some way that they could put those things directly into Siebel instead of having all that extra data and
I see what you're saying, but the thing is, I don't remember all the lead management activities that they do in Salesforce. So if there are any integrations, like the way they do it for site survey and other things, and also if they have coax, right? So sometimes these hybrid customers who have fiber and coax, those activities happen in Salesforce, and then they never come to Siebel. They go to SDRP and other systems. So if you take out that functionality, you got to solve for two problems. One, what are you going to do with all the lead management activities? If we're going to suggest use Siebel UI for all of them, you might as well say replace Salesforce. Number one. Number two is what are you going to do with the coax people who are not in T3, but you got to fulfill their lead management and design review and order management stuff. That's what I can think of.
Okay, and I'm all for keeping it simpler, so that's fine. And that did lead to another question I did have. I've kind of been reviewing stuff that we've done, that whole Salesforce demo, and they did have another quoting tool for coax products. I guess that just goes forward, but it's not a focus, right? They're strategic and stuff that's going in T3 is more fiber based, right?
Correct.
Okay. Well, I think, Lars, I don't know if you've got, any other questions or VJ and Pat folks, whether there's anything else we should walk through, but I think this, for me, was very helpful.
Very good. I think that's pretty much it from our side, Jim. But I did want to talk to you guys about a couple of other things, but we can take it offline. We'll hopefully catch up later tomorrow or day after for 15 minutes, and then I can go through my questions. But from a larger audience perspective, I don't have any questions.
Or, Scott, you're still on, right?
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to do it right when we hang up, I think we're fine with that, right, Scott?
Yeah, I'm good.
And so in terms of next steps, then you'll just send us over the updated documents that we just kind of reviewed and I think the Excel and Word docs. And then we'll just continue working with you to make sure we understand the milestone dates and when you guys are looking to release this stuff. And who would be a good point? Who would be a good point person if Lars or anybody on our side has questions or wants to discuss it, the way these are set up or modeled?
So Kim would be the right person, Jim. Just for that.
Cool. And if you could maybe, because I don't know if Kim was on the invite or if we've got her email, if you could just shoot that over to us as well.
Yeah, I'll send an email and CC her so you have it.
That'd be great.
Thanks, CJ.
No problem.
I guess the only other thing I was just thinking, just occurred to me is, the quoting process in Quick Quotes. I know we've seen some of the Quick Quote stuff from the past, but for these products, I almost wonder if we could get any info on how that process looks in Quick Quotes or how they want to support that.
Yeah, I think, Lars, I've got a note there that I think we need, Scott needs to reach out to the marketing folks and get a read on that. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
And I still do, Lars, I'm going to do an update, but I still have the demo that we had on that, on Quick Quote and all that stuff. So I'm going to put that in the OSN conversation and just so we can kind of refresh on it.
Okay.
Or your,
and just as a heads up, we don't have the Quick Quote information, so that won't be anything that I could send out.
right.
Okay. All right. I didn't have anything else. Dean or Ahmad, did you guys have anything you wanted to ask before we move on?
Hey, Lars, this is Dean. I don't have anything to add to that.
Okay, great.
All right. Well, I would say, I think maybe VJ, if you want to just stay on with Scott and I, and anyone else, I guess is welcome to stay on if they have nothing better to do, but other folks could drop, or we could just jump on another bridge, whatever would be easier.
It's up to you, Jim. I can stay on here if you want.
Yeah, let's just stay on here, and my guess is most people will drop off.